Ground vipers used to locate American artillery with great accuracy. When I was back in Texas, my brother Dabney learned similar technology was being used for finding oil. He asked me if I could build an instrument to detect the same kind of very small vibrations. After some research, I told Dabney that I would use a new invention, the vacuum tube, to build an instrument that was smaller and much more accurate than anything the Germans had used. Dabney and I, along with my brother Van and my wife Edwina, started a new company, Petty Geophysical Engineering Company. We resigned from our real jobs with no money and moved back home to San Antonio to live with our parents. Edwina, my wife, worked for free. I'll never understand how she put up with me. Using the instruments I made and patented, we learned to find and map oil-bearing strata underground. The work wasn't easy, and using explosives was dangerous. I remember we thought we had blown up our good friend Pop, our main explosives expert, or shooter. We laughed until we cried when we found him sitting on a crate of dynamite having a smoke. He was just fine. In the early days, blasts we made caused too much damage to the land, so we developed ways of taking readings from very small explosions and find them without any at all. We learned to take readings in mud, desert, and undersea in the oceans for companies all around the world. My instruments were even put on the surface of the moon by astronaut Harrison Schmitt with Apollo 17. I spent a pretty exciting life as a physicist inventing technology to record underground formations.
Okay, so here is the company that he founded, and here are some of his inventions: the submersible geophone, the jug, aptly named, and the box of string harps. So that's one way they measure things. Another way is surveying. So these are the survey rods. So you pick a point and measure it out. Let's go to the top here so you can see that. So for all you people that forgot or are in school or aren't in school, you can figure out a point in space using triangulation. So you have a point, and let's use this. Let's make this a right triangle. So if you know the length of two sides, and then you know this angle, you can tell where that is. So you can tell the distance of something if you know two angles in one side or two sides in one angle. That's trigonometry, so that's pretty cool. And then another guy that surveyed a lot of stuff was a guy named Tobin. And they still have Tobin maps everywhere here, so let's just run a little.
Edgar G. Tobin left Texas for France in 1917 as a soldier in the U.S. Army Signal Corps. Within a year, Tobin was a World War I flying ace in the 103rd French Air Corps with famed American ace Eddie Rickenbacker. Tobin was awarded the French Cross of War and the U.S. Distinguished Service Cross for valor. Back in San Antonio, Tobin worked as an automobile dealer, but it wasn't long before he was flying again. Austrian engineer Gillard Cargill approached Tobin with an idea for making detailed aerial survey maps. He bought a de Havilland biplane and started Edgar Tobin Aerial Surveys in 1928. Flying a survey job for Humboldt Oil, geologists noticed that some of the features on the ground indicated oil and gas beneath the surface. From making that map on, Tobin's business became a major part of oil and gas exploration. Tobin soon had a fleet of airplanes and a crew of pilots to make the aerial photos for the maps. By 1930, Edgar Tobin Aerial Surveys was one of the most important mapping companies in the world and had mapping jobs from Texas to South America. The maps were so well known they were called Tobins. The company mapped every southern state in the U.S. from Florida to eastern New Mexico. Edgar Tobin was killed in a plane crash in 1954, returning from a duck.
Here's some of the artifacts of the Tobin. And here's this pilot's ID card. So anyway, you never can tell where your journey's going to take you, but you got to keep your feet moving to find it.